You know, I'm very pleased today because we have a visitor, Conor from Language Tsar.
Hi, everybody.
How do you go about learning these languages?
Okay. So I need to first identify my motivation, right? Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people who struggle with languages, and I know you discussed it on your channel so much, which has always been a great inspiration to watch these videos. So if you're watching his channel for the first time, there's like, how many, 800 or something insane?
850.
It's an amazing resource for everybody. So the first thing to identify is your motivation, because, okay, you may wake up one day and say, it'd be great to speak Chinese, right? And you'll be really motivated because it's all new. But if you don't have a good long-term motivation, it's very hard over like months and then years to continue with the language, right? So I'll give you an example. Last year I started learning Irish, right? Because I was actually born in Ireland, even though I don't speak the language. And I was super excited and motivated for the first 3 months, right? Because I was learning the language, I heard it at school in my childhood. And then after the 3 months, I didn't have any friends who spoke it. Okay, I watched a little bit of television, but there wasn't really that urgency. There wasn't really that very clear reason for me to learn it, right? When am I going to use it in the future? And then it's very hard to keep, sacrifice learning another language or doing something else as opposed to learning Irish. So that's the first thing I'm trying to identify. So with Ukrainian, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go to Lviv. I like to spend a lot of time in the country. Even if I'm in a predominantly Russian-speaking city like Odessa, there are always going to be opportunities to use Ukrainian. So I know exactly why I'm learning it, right? And then I already speak a cognate language, which is Russian. So then I know I'm going to understand a certain amount of vocabulary, and in this case, probably a lot of the grammatical structures. So I'm going to first just start listening to the language a lot, right? And then if I have the opportunity, with Ukraine it's going to be easy because I'm going to go to the country and then use it. I may also buy a course. I'm going to try out Linked, of course. We've been discussing a little bit of strategy together today, me and Steve. And then there's certain other products I'm going to try out, like I'm going to try out Glossica, I'm going to try out VocaBooster, and I'm going to write this all on the blog as well on Language Tsar. So if you're interested, you can go there and you can see my reports and also on my YouTube channel. And then after that, I try to build up real, genuine relationships with the people and consume the media, learn about the culture. Because these are all things where you can, by osmosis, absorb a lot of the grammar, the vocabulary, have motivation to use it. That comes kind of externally to the study, right? And then I will have a tutor that I found via italki, which is another great marketplace for finding teachers, and we'll have probably 1 or 2 classes. I don't like to have more than 2 hours a week, because I think people who start off with 5 for the 3 weeks, they make huge progress, it's very impressive, but they're not going to do that for 6 months, a year, because you're just going to burn out or you don't have that urgency. So I prefer to start with 2. If it goes down to 1, it's not such a big drop, and then consistently to learn the language and to use it over several years. I don't see it as a 3-month project to learn Ukrainian and then abandon it afterwards. I see the language learning as a lifelong process, and some languages, they just don't work out. It didn't, either I wasn't motivated enough, and that's fine. You leave them one side and you say, okay, now I focus on another one, because you always have this trade-off. So that's normally how I approach learning languages when it's a new one.
I agree. First of all, italki is a great place to find tutors. You can try out several tutors and then settle on the one that you like the best. And twice a week is ample. Because there's so much else involved. You need to improve for that next session with the tutor, because you're not going to improve just by totally just speaking with a tutor. You have to do your listening and connecting with the culture and so forth, and then you go back to your tutor. And twice a week is a good number, and one that you can maintain.
That's the key for me, so, medium long term.
Exactly. So no, I totally agree with you. The motivation part, connecting with the culture, that's exactly how I go about it.
Kindred spirits.
And long term, absolutely. If you learn a language in 2 weeks, I made a video on this, or at least there was a tweet on Twitter. If you learn it fast, you're going to forget it fast.
Yeah, that will make sense to me.
And if you enjoy the language, you mentioned Ukrainian, I enjoy it. Every day I get my podcast from Hromadske and Radio Svoboda. It's fascinating to hear them and all the things that they're preoccupied with, and as you're interested in the subject, then you're also picking up the language. And particularly with listening, the only thing I would say is, particularly in the early stages, whatever I listen to, I got to read, because if I just listen to it, it just takes that much longer to pick up on it, because there's so many words there that you aren't going to recognize. Whereas if you had the opportunity to read it and look it up, and of course the way we do at Link, you're looking it up and then you're reviewing the words, you're actually deliberately mining this material for words and phrases, so that after a while there's fewer and fewer words that you don't understand. And when I don't understand, it's mostly because I don't have the words. It's not because the grammar was so confusing that I couldn't understand it.
Or the accent, for example.
Or the accent. It's mostly, once you get past the stage where, initially you can't even tell words where words end and begin. But once you get past that stage and you're hearing this word, but you don't know what the word is, it's your lack of knowledge of the word. So, I think I like to have a deliberate strategy of increasing my vocabulary. And I found, as I said in one of my recent videos, when I get past, and it may sound stupid, like 40,000 words. But in a Slavic language, there's a lot of, inflections. Yeah. But once you get to that 40,000 word stage, you understand just about everything.
40,000 word stage.
40,000. But you get there very quickly. Like in Polish, I'm at 30,000, and I don't understand my Polish as well as my Ukrainian.
Okay.
It's just a number, I find. And my Korean is at 20,000. I have even more trouble understanding it. So because you're picking most of these words up like for free. Incidentally, because you don't need to save them. You'll find in Ukrainian, once you get a sense of how that language, although in fact the vocabulary is closer to Polish than it is to Russian. I warn you ahead of time, you probably know that. But you're going to start, all these words, you're just going to be adding words like crazy. You'll be up to 10,000 words in no time.
All right.
You just got to keep on working at it.
I'll have to post a video later on showing my progress and how many words exactly I get up to.
Right. But that's also part of motivation. Because just to stretch this point here, that there are times when you feel you're not making progress.
Yeah.
So at least to be aware that your word count is growing and that there is a magic point at which all of a sudden the stuff, a lot of which seems so difficult always to get to understand, it's going to click in. So that's important to maintain that motivation, because once you get past that initial period where, wow, I can say something in the language, I actually understand something in the language, to get from there to genuine fluency is a long road.
Exactly. I always find that the last 5% takes maybe as long as the first 95% in a language. And that's something that everybody has to calculate. Is going that extra 5% worth it with your own goals? It's not
exactly
necessary.
Not for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Steve.
Yes, very interesting. We could probably go on forever.
I think we could make a 2-hour documentary.
Ukrainian politics yet. That's coming.
Yeah, exactly. We can make another video about that in the future.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on the channel.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan, and you've always been a great inspiration.
Yeah.
So looking forward to.
And we'll be following Language Tsar.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.